To construct a relative frequency histogram, we're first going to take our relative frequencies, which are these 5 values here, and select and highlight those. And then we're going to go up to Insert and insert a column graph, a 2D column, in this first option here, which is a clustered column graph. So we get a bar graph formed here. Because we want this to be a histogram, though, we want the bars to touch, so we're going to change the layout by going up to here and choosing the option, which is this one, where the bars are touching. And then just to make things a little bit nicer here, we can form an outline around the bars, which is black, and let's make it a little bit thicker so we can see the outline a little bit better. And we can give this graph a title and say that this is the triglyceride levels in milligrams per deciliters of blood for 26 patients. And then on our y-axis here, this is where we are charting our relative frequencies. So we'll title our y-axis as such, and then along our x-axis we want this here to be our classes. Usually you'll see class boundaries or midpoints, but I'm just going to list the classes. Now we just have one more thing to change, so we don't want the 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 labels on the x-axis, but instead we want the classes to be labeled here. So what we're going to need is we're going to need the ranges of 138 to 202 and 203 to 267, etc. We can't assign two numbers to each of these bars, so we need to combine the 138 and 202 together. So right here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to type in equals, and then I want the 138, but I'm going to type in cell F3 since that's where 138 comes from, and then I want to put a dash in here. So there's going to be some text that needs to come in, so I'm going to put in a few different symbols here. So first I'm going to put in this ampersand, and then inside of a quotation marks I'm going to put a dash symbol inside of two quotation marks there, followed by another ampersand symbol, and then followed by our upper class limit, which is 202, and that's located in cell G3. Hit enter on there, and then we get 138-202. And then I'm just going to go to the right corner where I get that black cross and click and drag this down so I get my 5 ranges of classes. Now that I have those ranges of classes, now I can insert those onto my horizontal axis. So click on your graph, and then you can right click onto the graph and go down to select data. And in this horizontal axis area, we want to edit. So instead of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, hit edit, and then we can select these 5 ranges of values, and then you can see once we hit OK on that, that the ranges replace the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and they get replaced in the graph. Hit OK one more time, and there you have your complete relative frequency histogram. If you want to move this onto a different tab, you can right-click on the graph, and let's see. Right click on the graph, there we go, and then there's an option right here that says move chart, and you can move the chart if you would like to. If you click on a new sheet, it's going to create a new tab in Excel, and you can name the new tab however you would like. So I might call this relative frequency histogram, and then hit OK, and what it does here then, it creates a new tab in Excel in which you only see the particular graph, the relative frequency histogram.